when is it going to end? When is it going to end? When is all this hullabaloo and all this enamorment with Colin Kaepernick going to end? I mean, it's pretty much old hat, Jim Harbaugh. I know you're trying to keep your little success going that you've had, your little one win against Ohio State. You think you got to go out and grab some kind of political advantage to try to maybe further yourself in recruiting with the minorities. But the minorities are getting smart to this. They're getting smart to you guys out there trying to separate people by politics. So it needs to stop. All this joyous accolades that you're throwing at this guy that kneeled for a flag just because he couldn't start anymore, just to try to get attention because he's an attention whore, it's got to stop. So let's talk about it. Again today, boys and girls in sport land. I'm JPC. I am your OCF. That is the outlaw of college football, and this is, you remember? I do. This is the home of the Common Joe and Common Sally, and the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. That's right, twice. All right, now I got some news the other day. I haven't really had time to address it because I've been dealing with other topics at hand. But Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have seen it fit to make Colin Kaepernick the honorary captain of their football team. And the reason why this is such a hypocritical thing on Jim's part is back in the day when Colin Kaepernick played for Jimmy Harbaugh out there at the San Francisco 49ers, he started his little kneeling thing. I think it might have been after Jim left, but I'm not sure about the timeline on that. All I know is that Jim Harbaugh was asked about the kneeling of Colin Kaepernick and what he thought about it. And Jim basically said that he did not agree with it and that he thought that it was misplaced and that it was not appropriate in how he was going about trying to make his point. Because we all know, and we went over this ad nauseum a few years back when Colin was doing all this crap because he's an attention whore. Colin didn't start doing this until he realized that he was no longer fit to start in the NFL. So he starts doing this stuff about kneeling for police brutality, which he never experienced because he was raised by a white family, just so you know. The problem we have, Colin, was the fact that you did it during our sports. During our football games, a time when we're supposed to be trying to get away from all the political crap and all the stuff in the world that stresses us out. But no, you want to try to, force your way and push your agendas on people when they're just trying to enjoy a sporting event. My problem is I don't have a problem at all with you speaking out against police brutality if you feel like that's something that you need to speak out against, okay? I have no problem with that, no issue with that whatsoever. What I have an issue with is the time that you're doing it. You're doing it on the job, at your job, kneeling, pushing your political agenda and stuff that you should be doing after work, okay? If you have a big problem with police brutality, as you say you do, then why don't you just go kneel in a parking lot in front of a police station and take it to the source? No, you're not going to do that. You know why, Colin? The reason why you're not going to do that is because it don't give you as much attention. So you want to be the center of attention. You don't care who it affects and how it hurts anybody else. And that's the problem I have with it, because you're not genuine. If it was about police brutality for real, then go protest in front of a police station. Now back to Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, and even coaches like the coach of my team, Alabama, Nick Saban, have been caught up in all this political horse shit for the last few years. And I'll be honest with you, it's getting a little irritating for me, especially on my part with Nick Saban. See, Nick Saban went out of his way to march with the BLM before he ever educated himself on whether the BLM was a valid organization. Come to find out, the BLM is just using people, using minorities, separating people by race, and got implicated in some sex trafficking crimes, of all things. And Nick didn't really do his education on these people. They're a Marxist organization that does not care one iota about race relations or the minorities in this country. They was doing it all for money, all the while buying themselves mansions, and like I said, partaking in sex trafficking. And then on top of that, Nick decides, I'm going to go over here and try to use my fame and glory that I've acquired through the University of Alabama to try to sort of lure Senator Manchin, that's his name? Try to lure Senator Manchin into, and maybe pressure him into voting for this bill, this bill that's going to allow people to vote without an ID. I'm going to use my fame and glory that I acquired through the University of Alabama to pressure this guy. That's what he did. People are like, no, wait a minute. Nick's had his own deal. He's famous on his own. No, he's not. Without the University of Alabama, hand in hand, without them, each other, Nick Saban and Alabama hand in hand, he never gets that fame and glory, in my opinion. And Jim Harbaugh brings in this guy that he claims that he did not approve of, a guy that he did not agree with, a guy that he really had, it seemed like he had sort of a disdain for. He's going to bring him in as an honorary captain all of a sudden, right after he has his one little win against Ohio State and finally goes to playoffs after 7 or 8 years. And all he's doing it for is because he feels like, I think, that Colin Kaepernick will bring him some kind of edge or some kind of fame and glory with the recruiting base out there. They don't give minorities enough credit to see through this transparent bullshit. That goes for Nick Saban, goes for Jim Harbaugh, goes for any of these famous coaches out here who think that this wokeism that was a fad and pretty cool in some media circuits for the last 2 or 3 years is now sort of fading a little bit. You're getting on that wagon just a little too late, Jim. And Nick, you better get off that shit too, buddy. Because the worm is about to turn in this situation. I can promise you that. The worm is about to turn, and all this cool supposed wokeism that all these people seem to want to adhere to, it's about to go by the wayside, and you're going to be caught with your pants down. And that's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals tell me what you think about the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Whether you think it's a load of hypocritical horseshit on Jim Harbaugh's part, or do you think it's genuine and something that we need to adhere to? And with that, I'm going to get off of here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.